You're stuck in pain that feels meaningless. But what if I told you that exact suffering is the only thing standing between you and the life you actually want? Most people spend their lives running from discomfort, numbing themselves with distractions, and quitting right before the breakthrough because they believe struggle is a sign that something's gone wrong. But the butterfly dies when you remove its fight. Your pain isn't punishment. Your obstacles aren't accidents. And your comfort? It's actually the cage keeping you from flying. I'm going to show you why the struggle you hate is the gift you need, and why understanding this one truth will change how you suffer forever. There's a story you've probably heard about a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. The version most people know goes like this. A man sees a butterfly struggling to break free from its chrysalis, and out of compassion, he takes a pair of scissors and carefully cuts the cocoon open to help the insect escape. The butterfly emerges easily, but there's a problem. Its wings are small and shriveled. Its body is swollen. It can't fly. It crawls around helplessly until it dies. But here's what most people miss about this story, and it's the part that will change how you see your own life. The struggle against the cocoon isn't an obstacle to the butterfly's freedom. It's the mechanism that creates it. You see, as the butterfly pushes and fights against the tight walls of its prison, fluid from its body, called hemolymph, is forced into its wing veins. This pressure is what expands the wings to their full size. Without that resistance, without that specific, painful struggle, the wings never develop the structural integrity to support flight. The butterfly doesn't struggle despite being ready to fly. It struggles because that's how flying becomes possible. The cocoon isn't trying to kill the butterfly, it's trying to complete it. Inside that chrysalis, something miraculous and terrifying is happening. The caterpillar doesn't just sprout wings, it literally digests itself. It releases enzymes that dissolve its own body into what scientists call imaginal soup. Only a few special cells survive, called imaginal discs, and from that nutrient-rich chaos, from the complete dissolution of everything the caterpillar once was, the butterfly is constructed cell by cell. But here's the kicker. Even after that miraculous rebuilding, even after emerging from the soup, if the butterfly doesn't struggle against the chrysalis walls, if it doesn't force that hemolymph into its wings through resistance, it still dies. The transformation requires both the dissolution and the struggle. Therefore, when the well-meaning man cut open the cocoon, he didn't save the butterfly. He killed it. He robbed it of the very process it needed to become what it was meant to be. But we do this to ourselves every single day, don't we? We feel the pressure building at work, the resistance of a difficult project, the tight constraints of learning a new skill, and what do? We reach for the scissors. We check our phones. We scroll for hours. We quit when it gets hard. We medicate the discomfort. We outsource the struggle. We demand comfort, convenience, and ease, because we've been sold the lie that suffering is a bug in the system of our lives, rather than the feature that builds us. Therefore, we end up crawling through life with shriveled wings, wondering why we can't fly, never realizing that we keep cutting ourselves out of our own cocoons before the transformation is complete. You might think I'm saying you should seek out pain for pain's sake, suffer arbitrarily, make things hard just to make them hard. But that's not it at all. The butterfly doesn't choose the struggle because it enjoys suffering. It struggles because the cocoon is the only classroom where flight is taught. The resistance isn't the enemy, it's the curriculum. And yet, we've built entire industries designed to help us avoid the exact pressure we need to expand. We have apps that deliver food so we don't have to cook. We have entertainment that numbs us so we don't have to feel. We have painkillers for every emotional and physical twinge. We have social media that gives us the dopamine hit of connection without the vulnerability of real relationship. We've become experts at cutting ourselves out of our own cocoons, and then we wonder why we feel so small, so weak, so unable to handle the winds of life when they inevitably come. Think about the gym for a second. When you lift weights, you're literally tearing your muscle fibers. You're causing micro-trauma to your tissue. It hurts. You're sore the next day. Your body screams at you to stop. But you don't stop because you understand something crucial. That specific stress is what triggers growth. Your body repairs those torn fibers by making them thicker, denser, stronger than before. The weight isn't trying to crush you. It's trying to complete you. But if you stopped every workout the moment you felt discomfort, if you never pushed past that burning sensation, you would never build the strength you're after. The pain is the point. But here's where it gets even more uncomfortable, and I need you to stay with me here. What if the suffering you're experiencing right now, the tight financial constraints, the heartbreak, the failure, the loneliness, the pressure you can't seem to escape, what if that isn't life happening to you? What if it's life happening for you? What if that cocoon you're fighting against is actually the forge? You see, we think transformation happens when the struggle ends. We believe we'll become the person we're meant to be once the obstacles are removed, once the pressure releases, once we finally get comfortable. But the butterfly proves the opposite is true. The transformation doesn't happen after the struggle. It happens through it. The pressure doesn't prevent the wings from forming. The pressure is what forms them. The constraint doesn't limit the butterfly. It creates the butterfly. Therefore, every time you avoid the struggle, you delay the transformation. Every time you numb the pain prematurely, you abort the process that was making you stronger. Every time you quit because it hurts, you prove to yourself that the cocoon was too much for you, and your wings stay small. Every time you choose the easy path, you're choosing atrophy over growth. You're choosing to stay in the larval stage of your life, crawling when you were meant to fly. But there's a secret weapon here that changes everything. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's not about enjoying the pain. It's about understanding the purpose behind it. When you know that the pressure is creating the wings, the struggle stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like preparation. It stops feeling like a detour and starts feeling like the path. The same resistance that was crushing you becomes the very force that expands you. The same pressure that felt like it was breaking you is actually the only thing capable of making you whole. You see, suffering without meaning is just trauma. But suffering with meaning becomes transformation. The difference isn't the intensity of the pain. It's the narrative you wrap around it. When you understand that your current constraints are forcing strength into areas of your life that will need to carry you later, everything shifts. The job you hate becomes training for discipline. The relationship that ended becomes training for self-reliance. The failure becomes training for resilience. The loneliness becomes training for self-knowledge. Therefore, the question isn't, how do I get out of this cocoon faster? The question is, what wings is this struggle trying to grow in me? Because if you ask that question, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become a student of them. You stop asking why life is so hard and start asking what this hardness is preparing you for. Because here's the truth that will reframe your entire existence. You're not stuck in suffering. You're being forged by it. The obstacles aren't blocking your path. They are your path. The resistance isn't preventing your breakthrough. It's building the strength you'll need to handle what comes after the breakthrough. You don't get strong enough to lift the heavy weight and then go to the gym. You go to the gym, lift the heavy weight that almost breaks you, and therefore you become strong enough. But I need to warn you about something important, because this is where a lot of people get confused. There's a difference between constructive struggle and destructive suffering. Not all pain grows wings. Some pain just breaks things. The butterfly's struggle is specific. It's the pressure that forces fluid into wings. It's temporary. It has a purpose. It leads to flight. But if the butterfly stayed in the cocoon forever, if it never emerged, if the pressure never led to expansion, but just to crushing, that wouldn't be a cocoon anymore. It would be a coffin. Therefore, you have to get honest about whether you're in a cocoon or a coffin. Are you struggling towards something, or just suffering in place? The butterfly fights to emerge. It doesn't fight to stay inside. If your struggle isn't moving you toward expansion, toward flight, toward becoming more capable than you were yesterday, then it's not a cocoon. It's a trap, and you need to get out of traps. You need to cut yourself out of coffins. But you need to stop cutting yourself out of cocoons. But when you are in the cocoon, when you feel that specific pressure of growth, of stretching beyond your current limits, of being forced to develop capacities you didn't know you needed, that's when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this making of me? Because the answer to that question is everything. The struggle is making you patient. It's making you resilient. It's making you creative. It's forcing you to solve problems you wouldn't have solved in comfort. It's building the exact muscle you'll need for the next level of your life. Without this pressure, you stay soft. You stay small. You stay crawling when you were meant to fly. You stay a caterpillar dreaming of wings, but never willing to dissolve into the goo of transformation, never willing to push against the resistance that creates flight. Therefore, the next time you feel that tightness, that resistance, that urge to quit and reach for the scissors, whether that's the phone, the bottle, the quit button, the distraction, I want you to remember the butterfly. I want you to recognize that feeling not as a sign that something's gone wrong, but as the exact sensation of your wings expanding. The pressure isn't your enemy, it's your education. The constraint isn't your prison, it's your preparation. Your suffering isn't the tax you pay for a better life, it is the better life, forging you in real time. So don't cut yourself out of the cocoon. Your wings are almost ready.